What's going on, everybody? Jay Long here, playing some Halo Master Chief Collection, getting ready for the greatness that is Halo Infinite. So, the July showcase happened. We saw Halo Infinite. We saw that Fable was coming. We saw that Obsidian's new IP is coming, Avowed. We saw that Hellblade 2, well, we were reminded that Hellblade 2 is coming. We saw some more in-game footage of Everwild. We saw that a new Forza is coming. We we saw a lot of timed games, unfortunately. The Medium, a game that I'm looking forward to, is a console launch exclusive, so that sounds like it's time to me. So game-wise, if you weren't reading the leaks, I'm sure you were surprised. I'm sure you were surprised to see Fable coming back. I I honestly didn't expect to see Obsidian's new IP. Um, for some reason, I don't know. I had a feeling that we're gonna see some more other studios. I can't even lie. But if you think about it, it's a pretty good show. Like game wise, at the very least. But once you start thinking about gameplay, aside from Halo and Everwild, oh, and I forgot State of Decay 2. That's really what I didn't expect. Because I wanted some new IPs. The Obsidian one, yeah, I actually heard it was a little further on in development than the others. So scratch that. It was really State of Decay that really surprised me. And the problem that I have with the show is just the fact that we didn't see gameplay. Look, I'm not saying that you have to show gameplay every show. PlayStation didn't show gameplay in their last show, really. They showed in-game stuff like Miles Morales and whatnot. But, well, I guess they did show gameplay with Sackboy. I guess Ratchet was in-game as well. But if you think about it, PlayStation can really afford to do that because they had games the last 3 years of the generation while Xbox really didn't have many AAAs. And Xbox just had a lot more to prove. And this show showed me that greatness is coming, but we're going to have to wait a little longer. I was expecting to see gameplay. Why? Because it actually reassured me that these games are coming within the year. But Hellblade doesn't really look too far along. They they said, hey, this is where we got inspired for the map from, but hey, they didn't want to show us the map. They didn't want to show us any new combat moves or gameplay innovations. Anything about I wish they would have actually showed us the levels at least. State of Decay 2, a CGI trailer might be an engine, who knows? But they said they're starting early pre-production, so that if it's a AAA, we gotta wait a few years. It could come out soon if they're gonna pull the same BS as part two, but making it a buggy mess and then finishing it off months later. So if it is a AAA, I assume 3 years at least, which does suck. Hellblade might come out at the end of the year, but I don't know. And by the end of the year, I mean 2021. But I can't really be sure. I really can't. Forza, I could see it. I can see it because the mechanics, they already know how to do that. I'm sure coding that is second nature for Turn 10. But obviously, what they're really working on now is the new stuff, the new details that we're going to get. Thanks to the SSD, I don't think this one is coming to current gen. And their whole messaging was, hey, no one's going to be left behind the first 2 years. Now I know why. Because they're not really going to have many games the first 2 years. Everwild, we saw that. That could definitely run on a 1X minus the lighting. Because damn, that lighting on that trailer, I do not know if the Xbox One can do that. That should look beautiful. And I got a feeling that game is going to be a co-op Death Stranding. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I like Death Stranding. I give it a 7, 7.5. It's a good game. but I picture it like being a lot of walking, mountain climbing with animals, and you're probably gonna use the animals to assist you and do certain things. But I don't picture it. That's really just my prediction, just judging by how it's showing us a huge mountainous world, and I just really wonder how, like, what the objectives are gonna do, because apparently they're still working on gameplay ideas, whatever that means. That could mean that they have a base game down and they're working on mechanics, or they're trying to add new things, or they were really just freestyling, have built a world out, art style, but didn't know what the hell to do with it. I I hope it's the previous. I hope it was the former. I really do. Fable, that was that looked like CG, but you never know because Horizon 3 and 4 looked insane, open world. So who knows? Who knows what they can do with a much more powerful console? That is yet to be seen. And Halo, I liked how it looked, but let's be real, they're kind of going for more of a cartoony look. Like certain scenes look great, like the scene with the warthog look great. I just feel like they need to work on the textures, which, let's be real, doesn't take that long. That could be done in a few weeks. I don't even think it takes months to do that, cause the brutes, they're the same race. They all look the same. So you make one texture for one, you put them on all, cause they're all gonna look the same. Cause they're brutes. That's how that species looks. So that could easily be done. The animations look. No one's complaining about the animations, which is a good thing. That takes a lot more to do. No one. Some are complaining about the gameplay. The Halo purists. I personally like it. My boy Chief, shout out to him. He was pointing out some things like the lack of blood splatter. Like this in Halo 1 specifically. Halo 1 specifically, the blood splatter was insane. And look, the anniversary just destroyed it. And now the new one's not gonna have it at all. So PC community, get your mods ready. I want blood splatter in Halo 5. There is blood. If you see it, you shoot him. You see the blood squirt out, but it's like Uncharted blood where it doesn't splatter anywhere, which kind of kills the style of it. It kind of kiddifies it, which is unfortunate. But blood, I'm not gonna dock a game for its blood. you know, it's not that important, but it would be nice to see again, especially since they're going back to the old Halo CE art style. The draw distance pop in obviously can be fixed. I was running on a PC, so the people talking about velocity architecture, SSD, the game's running on a PC probably doesn't have that. And again, the game ain't even out yet. Chief also said that he was a little upset about the guns, how they're kind of more laser, like the bullet fire, like you don't have to lead your shot. Which that's something that I don't notice because I'm not a competitive gamer like that. But for those who are, keep that in mind. Open world, I'm excited for that because if you play Halo 1 and then you go and play 5, 5 is a lot less open, which is a disappointment. And Halo 1 had maps like Halo, Silent Cartographer, which are you pretty much spawned in an island where you can go anywhere you want, and you got to figure out where you got to go. So this is just going to be a much bigger version of that. I hear it's going to be like Gears 5, where there's some linear levels mixed with some open world. How even Last of Us 2 did that. I'm all for that. I hear that there's going to be Metroidvania style exploration with the upgrades. If you look, he had an upgrade section in the start menu, which I'm really looking forward to. Also, another thing, my boy Chief, I keep referencing him because he's the biggest Halo head I know. That the Covenant weapons, they kind of samified them. What I mean by that is they fire like marine weapons, which which hopefully is not the case. I did see in the Mega Constructs that the the plasma, what the fuck was the plasma, damn, I forgot the name of the plasma repeater that the elites use. The plasma rifle, I think. Yeah, the plasma rifle. Uh, that is in the game. It just I don't remember it in the trailer really. Correct me if I'm wrong. Judging by it, it doesn't look like there's dual wielding because he walked over a pistol. Who knows? Maybe that's an ability, but that's one thing that was lacking in 5, which bothered me. But I'm looking forward to the game. The cutscenes are great, 60 frames a second. You can't beat that. I was playing Ghost of Tsushima. It's good. The combat's fantastic. Everything else is okay, solid. But the frame rate is goddamn garbage. Garbage. That game is running at like 25 frames a second, which is pitiful in my opinion. It is it was unplayable, like kind of going back from Death Stranding on PC, solid 60 to a solid 25, 22 frames on Ghost of Tsushima. That was, man, I couldn't do it. So I'm happy that it's 60. I'm happy that it's open world. I like the grappling hook. I like that they map the grenade to the left trigger again. That's how I've always played Halo. So that's gonna be dope. And I'm looking forward to it. I just feel like yes, the textures need work, lighting needs some work, and those are things that can be fixed by the time the game ships to stores, ships to your and is downloadable on your console. So I'm not too worried about that. I also saw that trailer that they had, the 1 minute gameplay trailer looked a whole lot better. You look at the Gears of War 4 beta, when that came out, it had very similar flat textures. And see, like, I don't know if we'll see this. Marines are coming back. That's cool. That's one complaint Chief had. He didn't see any Marines, but if you look at the Mega Blocks, they're coming back. Hopefully, they'll be all over the map and you can save them. And who knows? Maybe you could recruit them, and then so that you could take them on a mission and what have you. So I'm looking forward to that. And compare this to PlayStation Show. At least hey, we had an 8 minute hands-on demo, which was dope. You see, I just spent a bunch of time talking about the game. I'm really looking forward to it. But everything else, hey, it's coming. We know that the greatness is coming. But until we know the release dates, I can't really say which conference was better. Honestly, looking at how things are, the PlayStation stuff looks further along. Ratchet and Clank looks further along than State of Decay and Fable. Miles Morales is a glorified DLC. Let's be real. The developer said it was 5 to 10 hours. It's gonna be reusing the same assets. They only said many of the assets were updated, like the character models. That is not that right there means that not all of them have been updated. It's the same map with snow. Let's be real here. So at launch, if you don't have like at launch, if you're gonna buy a console, me personally, I'd go with the Xbox because it's got Halo Infinite, and I'm gonna be on that for at least 100 hours versus Miles Morales, which is a 5 hour, 10 hour experience, and Sackboy, which I'm not buying a next gen console for that. But you can also say that the Halo Infinite will be launching on the current console, so you may not need it. Who knows? Let's see how the performance looks. But if you don't have a current gen console and you're looking for a next gen one, or let's say you had a PS4 and you're looking for a next gen console, and let's say you bought the PS4 for 1080p at the beginning of the generation, you're gonna have Halo Infinite at launch. You're gonna have a couple good time games like the Medium. I'm upset that the Medium's timed, console launch exclusive. I don't know what else that means. I'm upset, and I think Flight Simulator will be next gen only. I have a feeling because if it was current gen, I think it would have been released alongside the PC cut. But I don't know why I feel like that game is too like intensive to run on the Xbox One Fat's CPU. I don't see that happening. So it was a good show. I just feel like since we didn't have many games at the end of the Xbox One generation that were AAA, they had a whole lot more to prove, and I was just expecting Xbox to have games sooner, and that's just not the case. So me personally, I don't see myself buying a Series X at launch. I can, and that's just because I have a PC. And if you don't have a PC, by all means, buy it. It's definitely a good console. It's powerful. My PC can't even run Resident Evil 2 at 4K 60, and this is a $930 PC. Probably easily 1,000 after certain accessories like the Wi-Fi adapter, like the Wi-Fi. I had to buy a USB hub. I bought an SSD for it. I bought a yeah, and I got a really cheap version of Windows on eBay for $5. I This thing would have been easy over 1,000. While on the Series X, $500 max. It's gonna definitely be the console you want to be playing on for sure. And you're gonna have Game Pass, so everything I mentioned will be there day one. So you buy an Xbox One, Series X, you're gonna have hundreds of games at your disposal without having to spend an extra 60. You just pay that extra 10 a month or 15 if you want. Boom, your console launch. You come home with dozens of games, whereas every other console at launch you buy it, whatever you buy is what you have, and all your stuff carries over. So it's definitely a attractive console. I like the design of it. I like the top of it specifically. The controller is gonna be dope. Obviously, unfortunately, they made it smaller, but I feel like it's still a worthwhile console. Just maybe not for me just yet, cause the PC I have, it's annoying. My setup right now is the most raggedy ass setup. It's huge. It's loud. It gives me problems. Sometimes you open the computer and the goddamn sound driver stops working. It's problems that I'm capable of solving, but the average consumer is not. So one last thing I'll say is Avowed. I feel like Avowed is gonna be, people are sleeping on this. Hey, it's a new IP, sure. I think what we saw was an engine, at least the part with the hands, cause apparently Phil saw them working on the game and then he decided to buy them. So I do think the game's further along and they're holding out. So I think this might be late 2021, early 2022. But Obsidian, these are the creators of Fallout, guys. And every Fallout fan I've spoken to says New Vegas is their favorite one. And this is the studio that made it. Outer Worlds apparently is a good Bethesda game. When people were tired of Bethesda's bullshit, they looked to the Outer Worlds as the next best thing. And it's loved. And I hear it's a lot less buggy than whatever Bethesda's been dropping for the past uh, for their entire career. And if you think about it, guys, what sold the original Xbox? It was obviously Halo, the Xbox Live titles, the shooters, the brute forces, the Mech Assaults, the online, the Sega titles, the Jet Set Futures, the Shenmue 2s, the Crazy Taxi 3s, and a lot of it was PC games, particularly RPGs. KOTOR, Jade Empire, the Elder Scrolls Morrowind specifically, and that is what Avowed will be. It will be the next, the next Skyrim, the next Elder Scrolls. So if you think about it, Xbox is kind of going back to their roots. You could kind of say that with the whole Phantasy Star Online being a timed exclusive at least. So they're going back with the Sega. Obviously, they got Halo and the Xbox Live stuff because all their stuff, I believe, aside from Hellblade and maybe Avowed, will be single player. And then you're gonna have the massive Western RPG. And if you guys think about it this way, I don't think PlayStation will have a 100+ hour RPG. They just won't. So if you put this next to what you call it, Horizon Zero Dawn, Avowed will take that cake. And yeah, that's a competitive advantage right there. Game Pass, competitive advantage. Multiplayer exclusives that continue to grow, like Sea of Thieves, competitive advantage. So it's not the end. I'm just saying that this series is actually gonna have to wait, which will suck. But hey, the first few years they're gonna hold you off with some timed exclusives. Maybe there's gonna be some more stuff because I do hear they're gonna do something for August to, which is basically their their Gamescom supplement. So Sony and Microsoft will do that. I'll say this now: if Sony gets Silent Hill, but probably buy the PS5 first. I'll probably buy the PS5 first and get the Xbox once 2022 hits, depending on when Silent Hill 5 drops, whatever they're gonna call it. But yeah, I give the show a 7. It would have been, or at least a look at the world. Fable, I think we might see. I don't know if we're gonna see much about Fable, because I do think the game is a little further along than we think. And also, we can't really say much about CG trailers because think about it this way: Sunset Overdrive had a CG trailer at 2013, and then the game released in 2014. And many games have done this, Microsoft specifically. So I'm just holding out. I'm just holding out, and we are definitely gonna see the initiative because that's the big rumor, and the big rumor was Fable at this show. So we're definitely gonna see that. So I think August will really make me decide which console I'd buy first. At the moment, it's Xbox, but that's because again, I need to know some release dates and as a better launch. And frankly, when I pit up Horizon, Ratchet, Miles Morales, and Gran Turismo, Forza obviously better. At launch, obviously Halo, Ratchet and Clank. I'm not a huge fan of Ratchet and Clank, so I'd like to try something new with Everwild. What else? What else? And what was that other game for PlayStation? Horizon. I was not a fan of the first game, and frankly, I'm not a huge fan of Bethesda style games. But guess what? It's coming to Game Pass, so I have no reason to not try it. So yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting generation. Definitely better than this one. And I see greatness coming to Xbox. We're just gonna have to wait for it. But yeah, everybody, thanks for giving me a watch. Thanks for hearing me out. Let me know what y'all think. And yeah,